What's up guys, welcome to my channel. Today we're gonna learn how to implement search, sort, filter and pagination on frontend with React.js framework. In my previous video, we have created an API with Node.js to perform these actions. Those who haven't watched that video, I recommend you to watch because we're gonna be using that API in this project. If you are only interested in frontend, then no need to watch that video because our main focus here is to handle that kind of APIs on frontend, not to build them. By building this project, you're gonna learn how to use useEffect and useState hooks in React. Before we jump into VS Code, those who haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and like this video. If you have learned something new today by watching this video, please share with your friends. So without wasting time, let's get started. Okay, first open up a command prompt. Here, we're gonna navigate into IMDb clone folder which we have created in previous video. In this folder, we have a server which is our backend for this application. Now, let's create a React application with name client. In order to create that, enter a command npx create react app and name will be client. Then enter this command. It will create a React application. It's gonna take a while, so I will skip. Okay, we have successfully created our React application. Now, let's navigate into client folder. Here, we're going to install some dependencies which we're going to use in this project, which is Axios package. In order to install that, enter a command npm install Axios. After installing that, let's open this project in VS Code with command code dot. Okay, now we are in VS Code. First, let's remove the unnecessary files and code. Remove the readme file. Then, in public folder, remove all these files. Then in source directory, remove all these files and open app.css file. Here, we're going to remove all this code, then save this file and open app.js file. Here, remove the logo import and here we're just going to return a h1 tag with text hello world. Then save this file, open index.js file. Here, remove this import and remove this all comment and code. After making these changes, save this file, then open index.css file. In this file, let's remove this code. Here, we're going to declare some global CSS variables which are black, blue and box shadow. In body, let's remove this code and here we're going to set color to be black and background color to be this. After making these changes, let's save this file. And in root directory, create a file name .env, then open this file. In this file, let's add a API URL of our backend. Here, for every environment variable, you need to append React app, else it will not work. So after adding that, let's save this file, then open app.js file. In this file, let's import useEffect and useState hook from React, then import Axios from Axios module. Here, we're going to define base URL variable. Value will be our backend API URL which we have defined in .env file. Then, we're going to define object state with the help of useState hook. Here, default value will be an empty object. Exactly like this, we're going to define sort state. Here, default value will be an object with two properties which are sort and order. Then we're going to define filter genre state. Default value will be an empty array. A page state, default value will be 1. And then search state, here default value will be empty string. Now inside useEffect hook, let's create a async function named getAllMovies. Inside that, add a try catch block. Here, whenever an error occurred, we're going to console log that error. And in try block, we're going to define URL variable, which value will be base URL. And for page query, we're going to use page state value. For sort query, we're going to use sort state values. Genre query, we're going to use filter genre state values. And for search query, we're going to use search state values. After creating our dynamic URL, let's call our backend API URL with the help of axios.get method by passing URL variable. Then we're gonna await for the response. Here we're gonna destructure the response and take data property and update our object state by passing data. We also gonna console log the data. Then let's add sort, filter genre, page and search inside an array for useEffect dependencies. What does it mean is that whenever any of these state values changes, this useEffect will be called again so that our API is also called and our object state will be updated accordingly. Now let's call getAllMovies function inside useEffect hook. After making all these changes, let's save this file and open command prompt to test whether it's working or not. Okay, now we are in command prompt. Currently, we are in server directory, which is our backend. So first let's start our backend with the command npm start. Okay, let's enter this command. It's listening on port 8080 and connected to our database successfully. So let's go to client directory, which is our front end. Now let's start our front end with the command npm start. Okay, it's running on local 3000. So let's open browser. Okay, now we are in browser. As you can see, hello world text is showing because we have added the text in app.js file. Now open console with the shortcut Ctrl Shift I, or you can open it by settings and developer tools. Now as you can see in console tab, we can see objects, which is our movie data. Now let's go to the network tab to see whether API is called or not. Okay, we can't see. Let's refresh this page to see whether its API is calling or not. Okay, API is calling and its status code is 200. Response. Okay, we have got our movies data. Now let's go to the console tab to see whether our useEffect hook is working or not. Okay, it's working fine. We can see our data here. Now let's go to the VS Code to add the styles to show this data in beautiful manner. In app.js file, let's remove the hello world text. Here, we're gonna return a div tag with class name wrapper. Now open app.css file. Here we're gonna add styles for wrapper class. It has width to be 100%, minimum height will be 100 view height, set display to be flex, align items center, justify content to be center. Inside wrapper div, we're gonna add another div with class name container. In CSS file, let's add styles for container class. It has width to be 1000 pixels, border radius will be 10 pixels, box shadow will be box shadow variable which we have defined in index.css file. Set display to be flex, flex direction will be column, overflow will be hidden, background color will be white. Now inside div container class, add a div with class name head and add another div with class name body. Now in CSS file, let's set display to be flex for head and align items will be center, height will be 80 pixels, background color will be black, justify content to be space between. For body class, height will be 500 pixels, display will be flex. Inside head div, we're gonna add an image tag and provide logo image from images folder, which we haven't added yet, but let's add the directory here and add class name to be logo. Now app.css file, for logo, let's set width to be 100 pixels, object fit will be container, margin left will be 15 pixels. Now in public folder, let's add a images folder. Inside that, add a logo image and star image. You can add your own images or you can download it from GitHub repo. I will add the link in the description. After adding logo and star images, let's go to the app.js file. Here, inside body div, let's add a div tag with class name table container and add another div tag with class name filter container. In app.css file, let's add styles for table container. It has flex to be 3, position will be relative. For filter container, flex will be 1. After making all these changes, save app.css file and app.js file. In source directory, let's create components folder. Inside that, create search folder. Inside search folder, create index.jsx file and styles.module.css file. Let's close all this file except index.jsx. In this file, let's import styles from styles.module.css file. Then create an arrow function named search and export it. Here, we're going to take setSearch function as parameter. We're going to use this function to update the search state value from here. Now, let's return a input tag which has type to be text. Class name will be styles.search and placeholder to be search. On change event, we're going to take the input value and pass the value to the setSearch function to update the search state. Now, in CSS file, let's add styles for search class. It has margin right to be 15 pixels, height will be 40 pixels, align self to be center, outline will be none, border will be none, width will be 400 pixels, border radius 4 pixels, padding left 5 pixels, font size to be 15 pixels. Now save the CSS file and JSX file. Now let's open app.js file. Here we're going to import search component from components folder. Then inside head div tag, we're going to add search component. Now it need a function to update the search state value. So here I'm just going to use a simple arrow function which take a search parameter and update it with setSearch function. After making these changes, let's save this file. Next, we're going to create a table component. So inside components folder, create a table folder. Inside that, create index.jsx file and styles.module.css file. Now close the all files except index.jsx file of table. In this file, let's import styles from styles.module.css file. Then create an arrow function named table. It has a parameter of movies which has a data of movies as array of objects. Then we're gonna export this table function. Now let's return a div tag with class name container. Inside that, we're gonna add a div tag with class name heading. Now in CSS file, let's add styles for heading class. For heading, display to be flex, align items will be center, justify content will be space between, height will be 60 pixels, text align to be center, font size will be 18 pixels, font weight will be bold, box shadow to be box shadow variable, margin will be 10 pixels, background color to be white, border radius will be 4 pixels. Now inside heading div, we're gonna add a p tag with class name title tab and text will be title. Then add another p tag with class name genre tab, text will be genre. Add another p tag with class name rating tab, text will be rating. Now let's add styles for all these titles. So for title tab, font size will be 16 pixels, font weight will be 600, color will be black, flex will be 2, text align will be left, margin left to be 20 pixels. For genre tab, font size will be 16 pixels, font weight will be 600, color will be black, flex will be 1. For rating tab, font size to be 16 pixels, font weight will be 600, color will be black, flex will be 1. Now let's map movies array. For every movie, we're going to return a div tag with class name movie and we're going to provide a movie ID for key attribute. You have to make sure that whenever you are mapping an array inside React, you have to provide key which is unique for every element because it helps React to know which element is changed or deleted or any happen. So after providing key attribute, let's add styles for movie class. In CSS, for movie class, let's set display to be flex, align item center, height will be 70 pixels, margin will be 5 pixels on top and bottom, 10 pixels on left and right. For box shadow, we're gonna add box shadow variable. Cursor will be pointer, transition will be all, 0.1 second and is. For background color, we're gonna use white color and border radius will be 4 pixels. Whenever we hover on movie, let's set scale to be 1.01. Okay. Now inside movie div, let's add another div with class name title container. Inside that, add a image tag with class name movie image and provide movie image. Then we're gonna add a p tag with class name movie title. Inside that, we're gonna add movie name and movie year. So now let's add styles for the title container. It has flex to be 2, display will be flex, align item center, object fit will be content. For movie image, width will be 40 pixels, height will be 60 pixels, object fit to be content, margin will be 0 pixels on top and bottom, 10 pixels on left and right. For movie title, we're gonna set font size to be 16 pixels, font weight will be 500. Then we're gonna add another div tag with class name genre container. Inside that, we're gonna map genre array. For every genre, we're gonna return a p tag with class name movie genre and provide key to be genre text. Inside that, we add text to be genre and we add slash if it's not a last element, else we don't add slash for that genre. Okay. Now in CSS file, let's add styles for genre container class. Let's set flex to be 1, display will be flex, align item center, justify content center. For movie genre, font size will be 16 pixels, font weight will be 400. Then we're gonna add a div tag with class name rating container. Inside that, we're gonna add a image tag with class name star image and we're gonna provide a star image from images folder. Then we're gonna add a p tag with class name movie rating and provide the rating from movie array. Then now add styles for rating container. Flex will be 1, display will be flex, align item center, justify content will be center. For star image, let's set width to be 25 pixels, height will be 25 pixels, margin right will be 4 pixels. For movie rating, font size will be 16 pixels, font weight will be 400. Now let's save CSS file and JSX file. We need to import table component inside app.js file. So let's open app.js file. Here we're gonna import table component from components folder. Then inside table container div, we're gonna add table component and we need to provide movies array. So if object.movies exists, we send movies, else we just gonna send empty array. So after making all these changes, let's save this file. Now let's create pagination folder inside components folder. Inside pagination folder, create index.jsx file and styles.module.css file. In index.jsx file, let's import styles from styles.module.css file. Then create an arrow function named pagination, then export this function. Here we have parameters of page, which is our current page value, and total, which is how many movies we have, and limit, which is how many movies we have to show in one page. And then we have set page function. We're gonna use this function to update the page value from here. Inside this function, we're gonna define total pages variable. Its value will be total divided with limit. Let's say we have 30 movies and limit is 10. So we need to show 10 movies in one page. In order to show entire data, we need 3 pages. This is how we can get the total pages number. Now we have got our total pages number. Let's return a div tag with class name container. In CSS file, let's add styles for container class. Here, let's set position to be absolute, bottom will be 0, left will be 0, width will be 100% minus 20 pixels, margin will be 0 on top and bottom, 10 pixels on left and right. Height will be 45 pixels, display to be flex, align item center, justify content center, and Z index will be 100. Okay, inside container div tag, we're gonna check total pages is greater than 0 or not. If it is, we have to create an array which length has to be equal to the total pages value. In order to create array like this, we're gonna use array constructor and pass total pages value. It will create an array with that length. After creating array, let's map it. We're gonna return a button. Its value will be index plus 1. Here we are adding 1 for index because default index value is 0. So that is why we are adding 1. Now let's add class name. Here we're gonna check page is equal to index plus 1 or not. If it is, we're gonna set class name to be styles.pagebtn and styles.active. Else it will be styles.pagebtn. Now we're gonna add key attribute. Its value will be index. On click event, we're gonna call on click function by passing index. We haven't created that function yet, so let's create that function. It will be a just simple arrow function which will take a parameter, and we're gonna use set page function to update the page value. After adding this, in CSS, let's add styles for pagebtn class. In CSS, for pagebtn, let's set outline to be none, border will be none, font size will be 14 pixels, font weight will be 500, border radius 5 pixels, outline will be none, width will be 30 pixels, height will be 30 pixels, display will be flex, align item center, justify content will be center, margin 0 on top and bottom, 5 pixels on left and right, box shadow will be variable box shadow, cursor will be pointer, background color will be white. For active class, let's set background color to be blue and color will be white. Let's save CSS file and JSX file. Now let's open app.js file. In this file, we're gonna import pagination component from components folder, and then inside table container div, we're gonna add pagination component. For page prop, we add page state value. For limit prop, if object.limit exists, we set value to be limit, else it will be 0. For total prop, if object.total exists, value will be total, else it will be 0. For set page function, we're just gonna create a simple arrow function which will take a parameter, and we're gonna update it with set page function by passing page value. After making these changes, let's save this file and create a sort folder inside components folder. In sort folder, create index.jsx file and styles.module.css file. Close all files except index.jsx file. In this file, let's import styles from styles.module.css file and then create an arrow function named sort. And then we're gonna export this function. Here we have two props, sort state and set sort function. We're gonna use this function to update the state value exactly like we did in previous components. Okay, inside this function, we're gonna return a div tag with class name container. Okay, now in CSS file, let's add styles for container class. Let's set height to be 60 pixels, margin to be 10 pixels, display will be flex, align item center, justify content center, box shadow will be variable box shadow, background color white, border radius will be 4 pixels. Inside container div, we're gonna add a p tag with class name sort by and text will be sort by. Now in CSS, for sort by class, let's set font size to be 16 pixels, font weight will be 500, and then we're gonna add a select tag, and then we're gonna add a class name to be styles.select. Here we're gonna set default value to be sort.sort value. On change event, we're gonna call on select change function. We haven't created that function, so let's create a arrow function name on select change. it will take input value, and then we're going to use set sort function to update the sort value and sort order. Now add styles for select class name. In CSS, let's set width to be 80 pixels, height will be 30 pixels, margin left will be 4 pixels, border radius will be 4 pixels, border will be 1 pixel, solid and black color. Outline will be none, cursor will be pointer, padding will be 5 pixels. Okay. Then inside select, we're gonna add a option tag. Its value will be year and text will be year. We're gonna add another option tag. Its value will be rating and text will be rating. Inside container div tag, add a button with class name arrowbtn. On click event, we're gonna call on arrow change function. Let's create this arrow function named on arrow change. If sort.order is equal to ascending, we set sort value to be sort, current sort value, and order to be descending. If it's not ascending, we set sort to be current sort value, order to be ascending. Now let's add styles for arrowbtn. It has display to be flex, align item center, justify content will be center, height will be 30 pixels, width will be 30 pixels, outline will be none, border will be 1 pixel, solid and black. Margin left will be 5 pixels, border radius 4 pixels, background color will be transparent, cursor will be pointer. Inside this button, we're gonna add a p tag with class name up arrow. Text will be HTML icon code. It is a up arrow icon code. So we're gonna add another p tag with class name down arrow and this code. It is a down arrow icon code. Now let's add styles for these icons. For up arrow and down arrow, we set font size to be 18 pixels, font weight will be bold, color will be black. Okay, let's save CSS file and JSX file. Now open app.js file. Here we're gonna import sort from components folder, and then inside filter container div, we're gonna add sort and pass sort prop to be sort state value. And for set sort function, we're gonna create simple arrow function. It will take a parameter and we're gonna update the state with set sort function. Okay, after making these changes, let's save this file. Now let's create genre folder inside components folder, and inside genre folder we're gonna create index.jsx file and styles.module.css file. Now open index.jsx file. In this file, let's import styles from styles.module.css file and then create an arrow function named genre and export it. Here we have a props genres, which is array of genres, and filter genre, which is array of selected genres, and set filter genre function, which we're gonna be using in this function to update the filter genre state from here. Then we're gonna return a div tag with class name container. Inside that, we add a h1 tag with class name heading. Text will be filtered by genre. In CSS file, let's add styles for container class. Margin will be 10 pixels. Align items flex start. Padding will be 10 pixels on top and bottom, 20 pixels on left and right. Box shadow will be variable box shadow. Background color will be white. Border radius will be 4 pixels. For heading class, margin will be 0. Font size will be 16 pixels. Margin will be 10 pixels. Text align center. Then we add a div tag with class name genre container. Inside that, we map genres array. For every genre, we return a div tag with class name genre and key will be genre. Now let's add styles for genre container. It has display to be flex. Flex direction will be row. Flex wrap will be wrap. For genre class, minimum width will be 90 pixels. Display will be flex. Align item center. Margin will be 20 pixels on top and bottom, 0 on left and right. Inside genre div, let's add an input tag. Class name will be styles.genre input, type will be checkbox, value will be genre, onChange event we call onChange function which we haven't created yet. Let's create it later. First, let's add a p tag with class name genre label and text will be genre. Let's add styles for genre label. Margin will be 0, margin left will be 5 pixels. Okay, save the CSS file. In JSX, create a arrow function named onChange. It has a parameter input. If input is checked, we're going to define a state variable. Its value will be filter genre array along with new input value. We're going to update the filter genre by using setFilterGenre function by passing the state variable. If it's not checked, we're going to define state variable again, and then here we're going to filter a filter genre array and remove the input value from that array. And then we update the filter genre by passing the state variable. After making these changes, let's save this file. Now let's open app.js file. Here we're going to import genre from components folder, and then inside filter container div we add genre component. For filter genre prop we add filter genre state. For genres prop, if object.genres is exist, value will be object.genres, else it will be an empty array. For setFilterGenres function, we're just gonna create a simple arrow function which will take a parameter, and we're gonna update the filter genre with the setFilterGenre function by passing the parameter. Okay, we have imported our genre successfully. Let's save this file. Okay, we have completed our project. Pagination, sort, filter and search, all of them are working fine. I hope you have learned something new today. If you have any doubts regarding this video, please share it in comment section. If you want to watch more videos from us, check out these videos. Until then, stay tuned, new videos are coming soon.